Welcome back to PGSN.
Network.
I thought we were going the same way, and then we weren't.
I like saying the full name. That's just me, though. I guess we didn't really communicate who was going to say it, but tonight's matchup is going to feature the Pleasant Grove Vikings taking on the Westlake Thunder here in Thunder Stadium. That's what I'm going to call it.
Yeah, not really a name. Like, we have Valhalla, there's the Cave, the Nest. Not really a name for this one, to my knowledge at least, but...
They do have a pretty cool sign on the wall, though.
Yeah,
it's all silver, donated by class of 2020. Has blue lights behind it. Probably won't get to see it on this stream, but it's right behind the student section.
Yeah, great arena, and two teams matching up tonight that have kind of had similar stories to their season, at least once they got into region play, and that's a lot of close calls, but haven't been able to win a lot of those games. Both teams 1-6 in region this season so far. Pleasant Grove's lone win coming against this Westlake Thunder team, and then the Westlake's lone win coming against the Skyridge Falcons 2 games ago.
Yeah, so we're looking at Pleasant Grove trying to catch win, and still trying to break their elusive 11-win plateau that they have not been able to pass. And if you can hear that is their announcer, and he will be yelling a lot this game into our microphones. But it's okay. It's not our home turf, and yeah. So hopefully we can minimize background sound for you guys as much as possible. But if not, the different sounds inside the stadium might get in the way of the broadcast a few different times. So disclaimer there, but we do love the different commodities that their stadium has towards their team. So
yeah, and focusing back towards the game, last time these two teams met up, Pleasant Grove came out victorious just a couple weeks ago, defeating Westlake 90-73 in the first matchup between these two teams last season. They split the matchup as well. Westlake winning on this court right here, and Pleasant Grove winning at home last year. Pleasant Grove is going to try to buck that narrative, and Westlake's going to try to do the exact same thing that they did last season. Jack, for Westlake, their leading stat guy from every single stat is number 3, Jace Adams. And that is their leader in points per game with 16.6, leader in rebounds per game with 4.4, and leader in assist point game with 2.9. So what can Pleasant Grove do to slow Jace Adams down a little bit?
I just think playing their pressing defense like they have been, because this team's very capable of playing some lockdown defense. I mean, they locked up Chamberlain Burgess, and he's super tall. He's like 6'9". Being able to stop him inside the paint is absolutely huge. Also, this is like unbearable, the sound of my microphone.
Well, they didn't just lock up Chamberlain Burgess. They locked up Tiger Cuff last time these two teams met up. He scored 14 points, but he scored 16 points, but 12 of those were from the free throw line. He only made 2 field goals all game, and then, of course, consistent from the field, 12
and one
to 12.
Of them was absolutely insane, just turnaround free throw jumper, and that is just not a shot that is very common.
But we will step away as it's time for the national anthem and player introductions, and be back with basketball.
So last year, injuries kind of ruled this stadium as Austin Simon hurt his knee and Carson Rasmussen bled on the court and bled on his jersey. As Hilliard's going to lose the tip-off as Featherstone gets it. This is Jace Adams with the ball. To Anderson, now back to Adams. Into the corner, that's Simon Sewell for three. Cannot hit, so Andrew Anderson's going to get the rebound. Hilliard has it.
Sewell's one of 3 Thundermen who averages over 15 points per game. He's a big contributor on the offense.
Jackson Brown, quick three. Oh, it just rims around, can't drop for him. Inside. That was Anderson, cannot hit. Almost fell out of bounds. Anderson gets it back. He's going to reset the play here. Anderson being picked up by Riker Mickelson. Over to Simon Sewell. Now inside Kyler Hadfield. Jace Adams at the top of the key. Drives left. Top of the free throw line. Kicks it back up top. This is Anderson. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Anderson left side of the paint. Out for three. Quick one. Almost banks it home. Kyler Hadfield.
And if you notice, Riker Mickelson allowing Jace Adams to go left, kind of forcing him to go left, really, only giving him left pressure, only giving him right side pressure. Jace Adams loves to work with his right hand, and that's how he gets most of his points, is driving in on the right side of the key and kind of laying it up at the hoop. And that's going to be Mickelson's job to not let him do that, as the first free throw is made by Kyler Hadfield.
Hadfield going up for his second here. It's good. So third and final free throw here for Hadfield. And there you go.
3-0. Early here as the Thunder still haven't hit from the field.
Gets trapped immediately. Riker gives it to Jackson. Inside the paint, Jackson kicks back out to Riker. Now Hilliard, quick three off the side of the rim and no good. So Vikings end up scoreless again, and here comes Anderson for the Thunder. Anderson on the right side of the three-point line.
Being hounded by Rasmussen, one of the toughest defenders in the state, even though he's a lot shorter than most of the guys he matches up against.
Just being pesky. Simon Sewell, a little bit of a spin-around jumper. They're going to call an on-the-ground foul.
I think it goes against Jackson Brown, and it does go against Jackson Brown. The Vikings kind of going back to their 5-man rotation, something they shied away from a little bit last time out against American Fork. This time doing the same thing, 5 new Vikings, Hadley, Peterson, Hansen, Palmer, and Johansson on the court now.
Something else, I think Riker Mickelson cut the mustache. So I think it's gone after it's one.
He had it yesterday in practice.
After its one debut appearance. I can't really see from up here, but maybe he still has it.
So talked about Jace Adams' right hand, and that's what he uses there to put the Thunder up 2 possessions.
So Milo Johansson to Ty Palmer. Now Clay, here's Mackay in the corner, drives in, kicks back out Hadley. He's going to take a quick three. It's off. And this is Featherstone.
Vikings just haven't been able to hit from beyond the arc today, finding good looks so far. Yeah. About 2 minutes into this one.
Jace Adams figuring out the play. Hadfield to Sewell. Simon Sewell off the screen. He doesn't use the screen, goes right off of it. Inside the paint. Kicks it out. Anderson drives in, working around. Goes up and an and one off the foul from Ty Palmer.
Pleasant Grove 2 fouls early in this quarter. And that's going to send the Thunder, specifically Graydon Anderson, to the line for their 4th free throw shot of the game. 3 for 3 so far. Looking to put the Thunder up 8-0 with this shot. He does not off the back of the rim, but an offensive rebound. Adams pulls up from the left elbow and makes it 10-0.
So Westlake having a couple of unique opportunities here, being able to score off free throws. Quick shot from Mackay Peterson, and that's short. And Westlake has the rebound again. Jace Adams running down the court. Basically a 4-on-3. Now into the corner. That's Anderson for 3. No good. Inside, and that's another and one by Kyler Hadfield.
I think that one went against Clay Hansen.
As Clay's complaining about it and telling telling Coach Mack what happened, because it's unbelievable to see kind of a lead be taken so quickly in this game.
I mean, this goes along right with the message that Coach McAllister was sharing at the end of practice yesterday, as that and one is converted. This is not a Westlake team that's going to just lie down and be killed. This is a Westlake team that's put up fights against some of the best teams in the region. They beat American Fork they fell to American Fork by only a point.
Hadley drives right side, right-hand layup, and it's missed. And he's going to take a seat in the crowd after that miss, so it's a 4-on-5.
Another whistle.
Foul from behind the back off of the foul from Hadley. So, my bad, I said a 4-on-5, it's 5-on-4 if you really think about it. You got to say kind of who's attacking first. So
just a poor start, honestly. This is the best way to say it. Poor start from the Vikings so far.
Poor is kind of an understatement. This is the worst case scenario of a start, as the first free throw from Anderson is going to be knocked down. And, Westlake's in bonus.
Yeah. And they're also up 14-0.
Soon not to be 15 as he misses the second.
Vikings, I know it's early, but Vikings need a score.
Yes. Here's Hadley, kicks into the corner. Milo, quick three, off the front of the rim and short again.
A lot of shots short so far today.
Not giving it enough juice. Simon Sua. Now, Adams on the inside, layup, cannot hit. Milo ends up with it, so he's going to bring it down. Clay Anson catches the pass. Goes down, kicks into the corner. Ty Palmer shot.
And then won't count a charge.
So the first shot for Pleasant Grove falls, but after a charge, offensive foul. So gonna continue to be 14-0 here.
Just a great read by Clay to not take the ball into the paint himself. Finds a wide open man in the corner. Shot was hit, and then just a mistake. And now the Vikings playing tough pressure defense.
This is what I was saying at the beginning of the game in the pregame show, that they can play choking defense and they can stop offenses, but clearly as far as into the game now.
Yeah, Jace Adams wants a screen, and he's going to get one.
Jace Adams gets it out of the double team as Anderson's driving in, baseline, now inside, that's Beckham Featherstone. So Rasmussen's going to bring it as they're down 16-0 now.
And a foul now called on the Thunder, their first of the quarter.
Crazy. No fouls for 4.5 minutes of play.
I think Pleasant Grove's done such a good job limiting Jace Adams, and as I've talked about, not letting him go to the right. But it's just allowed other Thunder players to step up, as
Rasmussen's layup cannot hit, but he's going to the line. So can Rasmussen put Pleasant Grove on the board, in the books, if you will?
Yeah, hopefully you just have to hope that this is a case of you just need to see one shot fall and they'll all start to fall. But
yeah, Malik Sika checking in for the Thunder. As first it rolls in from Rasmussen, so first point for the Vikings.
This is just a wild start. You almost rarely see Pleasant Grove this poor defensively and this poor offensively at all, and then never see them this poor on both sides of the ball at the same time.
So Rasmussen rolls both of them home. Hilliard defending the inbounder in Adams. Gets it into Anderson off the double team from Riker and Hilliard.
And Graydon Anderson pushed off as Mickelson was on him.
Pleasant Grove's ball.
Yeah, when we were in practice yesterday, that's the defense that we saw Pleasant Grove working on to see if they could find success with it. And so far, they've run a very limited number, and it's worked out so far, even though the score is 16-2.
Rasmussen finds Anderson for a quick three. Short again. And they're going to call it out of bounds off the top of the backboard.
I don't like that play for Pleasant Grove. That's just a tough three from Anderson falling away in the corner.
Well, I think they were looking for Anderson, but Riker Mickelson was open on the right elbow. Kind of open for, and the inbound was stolen by Anderson, but he stepped out of bounds before he got it away.
Did a great job defensively, poking it out, forcing a turnover. Shot clock doesn't reset, so it's at 33.
Simon Sua, now Anderson bringing it down.
Getting chased by Mickelson.
Graydon Anderson, not Andrew Anderson. Might get a little bit confusing. I'll say Andrew Anderson for now on. As the pass is tipped away, or ball is tipped away by Rasmussen, and now Andrew's got it. Down low, this is Riker. Layup is good. So sometimes play feels a little bit too fast to even commentate with right there. And now that's a miscommunication off of Westlake as they throw it out of bounds.
And the Vikings sub their 5-man rotation back in, down 12.
Haven't seen Clay or, I guess, Ty Palmer really shoot it. Ty did shoot it once, but that was after a foul. We have seen a shot from Ryan, Mackay, and Milo, all being short in the same way, just hitting the front of the rim and just bouncing away.
Okay, now Ty Palmer backs up. I don't know if Pleasant Grove knew it was their ball or.
Ty Palmer gets it into Milo. Milo drives inside the paint, gets it to Clay. Clay at the free throw line. Mackay Peterson behind the back dribble inside the paint. Kicks it out to Milo. Milo is fouled.
That was some fancy dribble move down low by Peterson. It's impressive to be able to pull that off, and even more impressive that he kind of kept track and found the right place to go with it after.
Yeah, Peterson working his work. Trying to do his best here. And here's Ty Palmer inbounding again for the Vikings. As they get it into Peterson, a little alley-oop pass. He's going to lay it in.
So deficit cut down to 10 now as the Vikings starting to move along a little bit with this new defense.
And they get it in. This is Kyler Hatfield. And he steps.
He gets fouled by Clay Hansen. That's his third. And he's going to immediately get subbed out for Riker Mickelson.
Clay's got to be really careful here if he's going to want to play the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to send Westlake to the line, and after Westlake didn't foul for a long time, if they get tagged for another one, the Vikings are going to go to the line. But it's going to be interesting to see if Coach McAllister decides to go down in his bench later in the first half here, or if he just sticks with 9 guys to try and rotate in. But for now, Hansen's going to take a seat, and Mickelson's going to come in.
You don't think we'll see any Chaz Rose action?
I'm not sure. Whenever I speculate what McAllister's going to do, I'm usually wrong, and usually he's making the right decision. So,
second is missed by Hatfield, so here comes Ty Palmer. Ty gives it to Riker. On top of the key now to Milo.
And a foul is going to be called on, I didn't catch it. Oh, it's Malik Sika. So that's going to send Ryan Hadley to the line, who kind of got ran over as he was setting a screen for Johansson.
So that's a second for Malik Sika. Ryan cannot convert on his first free throw. So down 10 here in the first quarter.
And that brings in Satchel Hepworth, and out comes Sika, who just got his second foul of the game.
So a couple players in foul trouble on both teams. Ryan's second. Off the front of the rim, and he can't hit. Almost poked away. Ty Palmer ends up with it, doesn't end up going out of bounds, and now he's fouled.
So now it's going to send Ty Palmer to the line. So Pleasant Grove kind of got a run of fouls early in the first quarter, and now the Thunder are getting a run of fouls late in the first quarter.
So the first 4 minutes of this first quarter went by like so quickly. Just so many plays by Westlake over and over again, ending up going up, 14-0 before Pleasant Grove scores. As
Palmer hits his first. He's probably the guy that people want to send to the line least on this Pleasant Grove team. Him or Riker Mickelson are the only 2 Vikings shooting over 80% from the line.
Palmer, like I've said many times this season, he probably has the best looking jump shot on the team, just like aesthetically, if you know what I mean. As Adams tried to get through and it's stolen, here comes Riker and the offense.
A block called, and now that's going to send Mickelson to the line. I think that's the right call there. As you debate between charge or block, the Westlake fans don't like it, but from at least what I saw, it looked like he hadn't gotten his feet set before Mickelson ran into him. So the only way that Mickelson would get called for is if Mickelson lowers his shoulder or kind of puts his head down. It didn't look like that happened. So personally, I agree with the call.
That and there being 2 players on, like, both on him at the same time. So
Mickelson misses his first, so right after I say he's one of the most consistent.
it's a commentator curse. Yeah, they probably called the block because there were two players on him, so he couldn't really just isolate himself, 1 versus 1. As Riker's second is good. Westlake's got these tubes, these like cones that they smack against the bleachers to distract. So they got two guys doing that down on the side, and that's a 3 by Satchel Hepworth. Into the corner, that's Milo. Can he answer? He does!
What a great run by Pleasant Grove's offense. That was one of the fastest possessions you'll see by any team all season. That's not just like a fast break dunk, but a great read to get it to Milo in the corner, and then Peterson pokes it away.
So Ty Palmer running down, stops at the free throw line, gives it back to Milo. Milo figures out who to give it to. It's Ty Palmer. Ty, right side, gives it to Riker. He shoots a 3 off the backboard.
And another whistle. That's going to be Anderson's third. So Anderson with 3 fouls, Hansen with 3 fouls, Sika with 2 fouls. A lot of players just running it up right now.
Yeah, Graydon Anderson, you know, I mean, he's a 14 points per game scorer. That's huge to be in foul trouble. And Hadley misses another one. So he is struggling from the line so far at 0 for 3 so far.
Yeah, and as I talked about, this Westlake team's kind of a 3-headed monster. Jace Adams, Anderson, and Sua are all averaging over 15 points per game, and there's no other player on the Thunder who averages over 9.
Second is good by Hadley, so Anderson's going to check in for Hadley.
It looks like Pleasant Grove's maybe shying away a little bit from that 5-man rotation and kind of going back to what they did against American Fork, where they just play more conventional, if you will, basketball.
Which there are benefits to it, but with this system in specific, it can work and it can't. As that ball is poked away and Riker ends up with it. So efforts from like 4 different players on that. As Rasmussen got it to Anderson and his 3 was off as he tried to launch it really fast.
And I think that foul is going to go against Simon Sua. Oh no, they call it on Ty Palmer, so it's going to go the other way. I thought it was on the Vikings, and then it looked like the ref was pointing at Sua. So now the Thunder at the line for 2, as Palmer picks up his second. Just really quickly, I wanted to give just a massive, shout out to just the way that Riker Mickelson has played all season. I feel like anytime something big happens, even if it's just a loose ball, forcing a loose ball, picking up a loose ball, usually Riker Mickelson somehow involved. He's been a huge piece of this Pleasant Grove team.
As Simon Sua misses that first from the line. Yeah, Riker Mickelson, huge difference maker for this team. Just absolutely doing those most. It's the second from Sua is knocked down.
Even though he's a junior, you kind of feel like because he started on varsity as a freshman, you kind of feel like he's a senior in that aspect, and he's very much a leader for this Pleasant Grove team. As
Rasmussen gives it Hilliard for a quick 3. Back of the rim miss. Riker ends up with it. Speaking of Riker, well, that was Andrew, but...
Andrew Anderson, it's really hard to get him to miss when you leave him that open, and Pleasant Grove has come storming back from an early deficit.
Yeah, down 5 here.
And now
Rasmussen gets it, and he steps out of bounds before he can get it.
That's the kind of the second time this game that Pleasant Grove's had an opportunity down there, and they've just barely gotten their toe out of bounds, but they're just happy with kind of having it poked away.
The worst part is it possibly could have been PG's ball if Carson had just let it roll out. As we have 17 seconds to go here in the first quarter. Here inside Hatfield, and it's stolen, but not anymore, as Featherstone is going to put it in.
5 seconds on the game clock now.
Rasmussen to Riker, way deep 3. Oh my goodness, Riker! What a clean way to make it home.
Riker Mickelson, you didn't even see him flex or celebrate. Just walked right back to the bench after he gave Carson a high 5 for the assist. Man, what a shot.
You know, it looks insane here, but that's like NBA range. Like, that is absolutely insane, but during practice, I've been seeing them shoot those deeper threes kind of just in drills in general. So maybe that was just preparing him for a moment like that.
So
absolutely amazing.
Pleasant Grove went down 14-0 early. Since then, on a 19-9 run. Jack, what happened from about with 5 minutes or so left in that first quarter towards the end that kind of propelled Pleasant Grove to where they're at now? They're still losing, but looking a lot better than it did a couple minutes in.
Well, what might surprise you is for 4.5 minutes of this quarter, Pleasant Grove didn't score at all. 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in it, and they score 19. So that is an absolutely impressive run. Of course, you said 19-9 run. That's huge.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I guess the good thing for Pleasant Grove is there's no one guy you can point at and say, oh, it was this person's fault, or I guess this person was the reason that they went on this run. Like, it was just a whole team effort of just a lot of just great plays, great passes, great shots, smart shots, made shots. It's a lot of great work, and especially defensively.
Yes. The pass, alley-oop pass.
Guess who got the offensive rebound?
Riker attempts a super deep three again as Carson gets an open lane. He kicks it out off of kind of a tipped pass a little bit as Riker Euro steps, and they're going to call travel.
That looked clean from my angle. He might have picked it up just a little bit too early, but the whistle was blown and took 2 points away from Pleasant Grove as Riker was trying to get around Beckham Featherstone, who was looking to draw a charge.
So here is Malik Sika.
He's in foul trouble.
Hepworth gives it to, and it was almost stolen by Riker, as I think he does have the mustache. I think I was mistaken.
Does. Yeah.
It's harder to see from up here. We are not courtside today. So, this is Hadfield. Right side. Hadfield gives it to Hepworth. One of the only players with a three on their team right now. I think he is the only player.
6 on the shot clock, Adams.
Adams has got to shoot it. 2 seconds. At the free throw line, they launch one up. It's going to be missed, so no shot clock violation due to hitting the rim. And Rasmussen sort of has an open lane. He's going to put it up and an and one for Rasmussen.
Welcome to who Carson Rasmussen is. That's 5'10 versus 6'5, and Rasmussen draws the and one and has a chance to put the Vikings within a point if he can convert this free throw.
Kind of a risky move there. When you're driving in and someone's behind you, to lay it up overhand is risky because it will go up next to your head, and that's easy for a player to just swipe it away as Rasmussen hits his extra point. But if you go underhand, then your arm is extended away from them. But Rasmussen did it overhand, and it still ended up being points for him. So that's just an amazing testament of skill for him. As Hadfield cannot connect down low. Milo, open lane, he's going to lay it up and in, and now Pleasant Grove has the lead, 24-23.
Wow, what a comeback from Pleasant Grove. Obviously, we're still in the second quarter. A lot can happen in the next 2.5 quarters or so, but Pleasant Grove is on fire right now.
Here is Hadfield inside, out to Sika. He's going to knock down that three. So only 2 threes for Westlake here, and they've been hitting the same spot on that right side wing. Here is Rasmussen, gives it to Riker for a three on the left wing, and it's going to hit only the backboard.
So a little too strong for Mickelson. Peterson's going to check in at the next dead ball for Pleasant Grove, as well as Hansen and a lot of guys.
Brown.
And Ryan Hadley, too.
Jace Adams with the ball. Outside of three-point line. Now to Hadfield. He's going to shoot a three. It's going to, again, only catch backboards. That's 2 shots in a row that's done that. And pass to Milo is going to fly out of his hands and into the crowd.
So before the game, Pleasant Grove was warming up, and I looked at the bench and I said, why is Finn the only guy who's not warming up? He has a giant ice pack around his right ankle right now. So I'm not sure if that happened in a game they played earlier today, but based on observation, I'd say it's very unlikely that Finn gets in this one.
Even in, quote, garbage time at the very end, if that happens at all. So pass inside of Hadfield, and it's going to be a foul before Hilliard blocked it.
So at this time in the third quarter, Pleasant Grove had 5 fouls, and they just picked up their first of the second quarter. That one went against Ryan Hadley, who had his second.
In the first quarter.
What did I say?
You said third.
Oh.
I was like, I thought you were talking about last one. I was like, that's impeccable memory because I don't remember.
As the first shot is missed.
That's a common theme I've seen so far.
From both teams.
Yeah, both teams, and not just Hadfield, but multiple players on Westlake. They've missed their first. And then, of course, they usually knock down their second here, as we'll see.
He does. So that brings in
Simon Sua. He's going to check in for Hadfield. And here's Carson Rasmussen.
So I thought we saw Clay ready to check in, and he's not on the court.
He was on the floor in front of the scorer's table. He might have gone back to the bench due to him having 3
Yeah, he does have 3.
Rasmussen drives right, kicks it to Hilliard. Hilliard in the paint, out to Mackay. Now he's going to drive. Mackay almost loses it, gives it out. Rasmussen open for 3, he's going to shoot and hit it.
Carson Rasmussen, not a guy we see shoot a ton of threes, but that one ties this one up at 27.
He is a pretty good three-point shooter, though. When he isn't being guarded, he is going to knock those down. It's a mid-range jumper by Hepworth.
Right into the hands of Hilliard. Left elbow, spin move, down low. Tough layup, can't finish. And barely caught on the baseline by Featherstone, and Westlake back on the offensive.
So here's Jace Adams, and they're going to call a blocking foul for Hilliard as he falls over. Second team foul of the quarter.
Westlake has 1, and that was Hilliard's first.
4:13 to go here.
Hilliard, one of those guys who usually stays out of foul trouble, only averages 2 per game this season.
Inside Adams, coast-to-coast pass to Sua, and it's gone out of his hands and into the Pleasant Grove bench.
So Hilliard's going to take the inbound. Westlake refusing to put pressure, as we see most teams.
Hadley, baseline, and its pass is intercepted completely by Malik Sika as he's going to accelerate down the court. Malik gives it to Hepworth, quick 3 off the rim. Cannot hit. And again with Hepworth, they just give him multiple chances and he can't connect. Now it's going to be a foul by Featherstone on Jackson Brown.
Yeah, Featherstone picks up Westlake's second of the quarter and his third of the ball game. So I think that's 3 players now combined on both teams that have 3 fouls. And Clay Hansen still sitting on the bench with Ty Palmer as 3 Vikings check in. Hepworth, you see him chuck up a lot of threes. Besides the 3 guys that we talked about earlier, that's Adams, Anderson, and Sua, Hepworth is 4th on the team in threes. The first 3 guys have more than 28 each. Hepworth has 11 coming into this game. I think he has 12 or 13 now. But
dang. Hadley with the ball. Right side at the free throw line, now in the paint. Almost loses it, now they're going to call travel. Late whistle there.
I think I saw him keep his left foot on the ground there. Obviously, it's very easy to call the travel when you see him kind of stumble a little bit.
There was a stumble, but they could also have called just a personal foul on Westlake. Choose not to. I think he wanted to just let it go, but then the baseline referee said no.
Now Hadley's guarding on defense now up by the timeline.
Adams inside, gets all the way.
Now
they're going to call travel again.
So I don't want to keep pointing out the same thing over and over and over again, but you saw the way Hadley played defense there. He wasn't even, he was in front of Adams, but he wasn't even giving him an option to go right. Yep. His body was just a wall.
Milo in the paint, kicks it out to Anderson. Anderson trying to find an open man, finds Mackay, and left hand layup is good.
And that gives Pleasant Grove the lead here with about 3 minutes left here in the first half.
So Mackay Peterson, it was like he was flying for a second there. He just was floating in the air. Tossed it up with the left hand, and being able to finish with both the right and left, is absolutely
just
important.
barely crossing the timeline with a second to go.
And that's layup down low for Hadfield. And practically no one's going to miss an opportunity like that. Hadley was open, gets it out to Anderson, who is blocked on the three. And Adams is already down the court to the other side.
I think that's a smart pass by Hadley to kick it out and not try and take it up to the rack. Ultimately, Anderson didn't quite have as much space as he thought he did.
Out. That is Sua, cannot hit. Riker to Milo. Milo on the free throw line gives it to Mackay. Now to rack to Riker for three off the front of the rim. And then another miss by Pleasant Grove. Tied up here at 29. It's not what your scoreboard will say right now, but we are tied at 29.
Kick to the corner, Sua connects.
Does, so he brings it to 32. Ryan Hadley, Milo Johansson now, left side, baseline, reverse layup, and it's good.
Pleasant Grove's found a lot more opportunities down in the paint today. From what I've seen, last time these two teams faced off, there was a lot of help side defense from Westlake, and that kind of gave Pleasant Grove open threes. This time in an attempt to eliminate it, it's giving Pleasant Grove some open layups.
Absolutely. It's great to see them be able to attempt more inside shots, and another three by Sua.
That was just in the face of Mickelson.
That's absolutely no fear to shoot it by Simon Sua. Now out to Milo, thought about a three, but he kicks it out to Riker, who almost loses it. Riker inside gives it out to Hadley. Ryan on the inside kicks it out to Milo. He can shoot a quick three, and he does hit it.
So Milo's done a great job. That's the second or third time this game where he's answered a three from the other end.
Picking up a bit of the slack by Pleasant Grove on a couple of different possessions. And here's Jace Adams.
They're looking for the last shot of this half with 20 seconds to go.
1 point lead. $12 seconds to go here. Simon Sua, baseline, kicks it out. That's Jace Adams for three. He's gonna miss. Mackay had to get through some defenders, but he launches it all the way, and it's gonna smack those bleachers.
So now is a great time to talk about the title sponsor of PGSN and our grub before every game, Chubby's Neighborhood Cafe. Just absolutely pristine food, great food off of State Street and Center Street in Pleasant Grove. Go check out Chubby's Neighborhood Cafe. The next time you get a chance, you will not be disappointed.
Across the street from the Zions Bank, Chubby's Cafe, all-American food for all American families. Their food is great. We love it here at Pleasant Grove Sports Network. I would highly recommend basically any options that they have there. All their sandwiches are good. My personal favorite, the chicken tenders. But if you wanna feel a little bit healthier, they got nice salads. I love their salads as well.
We've tried the salad the last couple times, and I'm a teenager, so I don't really like eating a ton of vegetables, but you're trying to get your kid to eat more vegetables, or you're trying to eat more vegetables, or you just like salads, that's a great way to go.
Yeah, and they got their, they have their chicken tenders, and they cut a few up and put it in there. It's going to be absolutely great, and their homemade ranch, absolutely delectable. So, Chubby's Cafe, what a title sponsor of Pleasant Grove Sports Network.
We will take a break for a second and be back with a halftime show in just a little bit. just to recap the first half just a little bit, Pleasant Grove went down early, 14-0. And then since then, it's kind of been all the Vikings. 34-19 run, and that, 34-21 point run, and that was really all led not by a single guy, but kind of just a whole team effort on defense. Like that was some of the greatest defense I've seen Pleasant Grove play all season, Jack.
Yeah, just locking them down. Although the Thunder, with a couple of quick threes from Simon Sua, keeping themselves in here with a 1-point lead at the half, 35-34. Looking like Westlake is not ready to lose another one to Pleasant Grove this season. But Pleasant Grove still trying to break their losing streak this season so far. Haven't won a game since the last time these teams met. So trying to flip the script a little bit for themselves.
Yeah, and Westlake has also struggled this season. They haven't beaten a 6A team that has a winning record. Their only 6A victory coming against Skyridge, who is 9-11 on the season, so just barely under that 500 mark, but some close, and when I say close, I mean close games. Number 1 team in the state, Layton, they lost to by 9. Riverton, they lost to by a point. Skyridge, they lost to by 2 the first time they met them. Lehigh, they lost to by 6. American Fork, they lost to by 1. Skyridge, they beat by 3. So just an absolute gauntlet of a season as both of these teams are playing in the region, and both teams have come very close, and both teams haven't quite been able to pull off a victory, really, in region play, besides just one for each. This season, Westlake has played in 9 games with a 2 or less possession final. They are 2-7 in those games. Those victories coming against Skyridge, as I just mentioned, and then also a victory earlier in the year against Ridgeline on the road. So I don't want to undersell this Westlake team by any means. This is a very good basketball team. They're 18th in RPI in 6A, but they would be top 5 in 5A or any other classification in the state. Coach McAllister, to end off practice yesterday, said, kind of brought up to the team, and he said, everything is right for them to go out there, punch us in the mouth, and just surprise the whole state. They have home court advantage. They're coming off a tough loss to Lehigh where they lost by 21. Pleasant Grove's fatigued after coming off 4 or 5 tough losses to Lone Peak, American Fork, and Skyridge. So I guess 3. But just...
And Lehigh, don't forget that. Yeah. They beat us by 16, our second biggest loss this season.
After it was a 1-point game in the third quarter.
Yeah, and of course the biggest loss coming is Bingham 3 games in to the season. So absolutely tough.
Yeah, and kind of Coach McAllister was right. To start off the game, Westlake kind of punched Pleasant Grove in the mouth. 14-0 run to open up the game, but since then it kind of woke the Vikings up, and they've really been the better team for the last quarter and a half, but still working to overcome the 14-point hole that they put themselves in.
I think that they might have punched us a little bit more than the mouth, maybe like straight in the gut. Like they were handling us like no tomorrow at the beginning. They were hitting every shot, and Pleasant Grove missed every single attempt. They missed around 5 3-pointers just being short, like front of the rim. Just smacked the front of the rim like 5 times in a row. And then the one time that we did hit one, it was after a foul that Clay Hansen committed after he had a quick outlet pass. And so it's just lots of bad luck for Pleasant Grove, but then they flipped the script and they just went on a run. And then, of course, here we are now with a 1-point game going into the second half.
And another narrative I want to touch on, you talked about Clay Hansen and that foul he has. Clay Hansen has 3. For the Thunder, I believe it's Sika has 3, and Featherstone has 3. So both teams have guys in foul trouble. I mean, Clay Hansen picked up his 3rd foul in the first quarter, and we didn't see him again for the rest of the game. For the rest of the half. There wasn't a dead ball towards the end of the half, or we talked about whether or not Coach McAllister would kind of go to his bench a little bit, or whether he'd roll with the same 9 guys. We saw Zane Windsor tap in on the scorer's table. He just didn't get a chance to check in before the clock hit zeros. I think they'll go back to having Clay Hansen on the court in the second half, but if he picks up a 4th or 5th foul, we might see Windsor.
Well, 5th foul would mean that he's just not in the game anymore. But a 4th foul means he wouldn't play till the 4th quarter. If it was in the 3rd quarter, of course. So you just have to look at it in that sense, you know.
Yeah, Pleasant Grove definitely going to play it by ear with the fouls, but I think that Hansen will be in on his first rotation in the third quarter.
Yeah, me too. So I think that Pleasant Grove's going to come back out in the second half, you know, not play as slow as they did at the beginning of the first half, but, you know, try to build up a little bit of a lead here, build some momentum, and be able to hopefully catch a win and break that 11-win threshold that they've ever so coveted this entire season. So we will be right back as the second half will start here in about 2 minutes.
So we talked about Clay Hansen, and if he was going to play in his first rotation, it looks like he is going to be on the court to open up this quarter. Also, Ty Palmer, who I think might also be in the 3 foul club so far. Shout out to McCaden Adams and Isaac Vaha, by the way. I think
having some fun banter in the.
Neither of us would mind if you want to invite us to that pizza party too.
I love pizza parties.
You know where to find us.
Here on Pleasant Grove Sports Net.
And it is time for the third quarter as we had a competitive first quarter with a 1-point Thunder lead. Here's Jace Adams in the offense.
Competitive first half.
It's been a long day.
Long day? We didn't have school.
I did.
Yeah. Anyways, Jace Adams here with the ball. Hadfield, sorry. I said I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Anyways. Malik Sika now to Simon Sua on the right side, baseline. Back up to Jace Adams. Jace Adams, spin move at the free throw line, down low, and Clay Hansen ends up with it. So Pleasant Grove going down on the other side. Milo gives it to Ty Palmer, quick 3 in the corner, and it's good.
That's a tough shot. That was basically a step back.
That was a rainbow shot, just flew all the way up and way down in the basket. It was awesome.
Ty Palmer is shooting about 37% from beyond the arc this season. One of the Vikings' best shooters, kind of the point guard of the second unit. Rasmussen's kind of the point guard of his.
Well, he is the point guard.
I mean, really everybody on Pleasant Grove is a point guard with the way they play, but Rasmussen does lead the team in assists per game.
So off that foul, here comes Simon Sua. At the line. Simon's first is good. You know, one of my favorite memories from this year is when they announced Makai Peterson as the center in Lone Peak. They said, starting at center, Makai Peterson.
I think he's 6'3" or 6'4".
Yeah.
But
as Simon connects on his second. The other favorite memory is when they just said starting at guard for all 5 guys.
That's probably the right way to say it.
It was pretty funny. Inside, Makai Peterson, the center, he puts it off of the backboard and in. Alley-oop pass. I really am curious to see if we'll see a dunk this year. We've seen Ryan Hadley and Andrew Anderson get up in pregame, like during warm-ups. They just go in and dunk it.
There's Adams. That's what happens when you let him drive on the right side. Oh, how times have changed. Last year we were rooting for a three-pointer, and now we're rooting for a dunk, and that was commonplace last season.
Carson Rasmussen on the inside. My goodness, what a pass. And then Milo, layup cannot connect, but what a pass by Carson Rasmussen.
Yeah, tough reverse, kind of backwards layup that Johansson tried to hit. Not an easy shot, but a great pump fake to kind of leave himself open for it.
Jace Adams gives it to Malik Sika. Now Hatfield. Back up to Malik, top of the key, 3. Off the back of the rim, and Clay Hansen gets hit by 2 people down low, and he falls over as that's an easy bucket for the Thunder. Makai Peterson drives in, and he is blocked and fouled as he's going to go to the line.
Will Harris gets called for it. That's his first foul of the day. Thunder up 2. Peterson's first of 2 is good. And now Pleasant Grove's going to sub 4 guys. Mickelson, Brown, Anderson, and Hilliard come in. Palmer stays on the bench. He has 3 fouls. He picked his 3rd one up early here in this 3rd quarter.
After hitting that 3, so.
Now Jackson Brown's going to check in as well.
All tied up at 41 here, unlike your scoreboard says. Second free throw for Makai is good.
Now he's going to go take a seat.
As Jackson Brown comes in. Jackson Brown still looking to hit some threes here. He is not necessarily on a no 3 streak right now, but definitely a colder streak than he was at the beginning of the season. As Adams getting around Anderson's defense, and it's, stolen by Jackson as Malik Sika jumps over Jackson's body. He's on the ground. And Rasmussen drives all the way in, and he puts it up, and no good. But at the line, he's going to go.
And that foul goes against Kyler Hadfield. Westlake second of the quarter. Obviously, Rasmussen's going to go to the line for the shooting foul. But that's Hadfield's first. I don't think they updated the scoreboard after Peterson hit his second free throw.
They did it first. It said 42-41, but I think that was wrong. And so they were actually tied at 41 after his second free throw.
Well, after Rasmussen goes 1 for 2, now it is 42-41.
Really trying to say 2 for 2 there, weren't you?
He kind of made me wait. The ball jumped on the rim a little bit, but here's Sua and the Thunder offense.
Sua, top of the key to Sika. Almost stolen, but Hadfield has it. Now Adams. Jace Adams drives to the right side. Now in the corner. In the paint, layup, and he's going to roll it home. After being defended by 3 Vikings, he's going to get it. Here's Anderson with the ball, turns around, kicks it out to Carson, and his behind-the-back pass to Hilliard is a little bit off the mark there.
Just had that first one go well behind the back, and that one just got a little too fancy. And that's a turnover. He was kind of plagued by turnovers last time out against American Fork. He's been so good all season taking care of the basketball. He's kind of bound to have an off day. I think that's his first turnover tonight.
Here's Simon Sua, drives in inside the paint, kicks it out. That's Sika for 3, and it's good. Sika, amazing 3-point shooter for this team. Anderson with the ball. Andrew gets to Brown, and he's going to drive in and hit it.
That's a great cut by Jackson Brown and a great find by Anderson. Vikings have kind of backed off a little bit on the defense, not playing the same set that they were to begin. Hilliard still pokes it away.
Jace Adams recovers it before it rolls out of bounds. Spin move to get it to Hadfield.
15 on the shot clock.
Hadfield now back to Adams. He's going to step back three, and it's good. 49-44 for Westlake. As here is Jackson Brown, gives it to Andrew. Thought about a three, he's going to drive in, gives it to Brown. Down low, Brown with the reverse layup, and it's good. And one for Jackson Brown, the sophomore.
The reverse layup, that's a tough shot to make. And to draw with the foul, too. It's going to give Pleasant Grove a chance to cut the deficit to 2.
Jackson's first and only is no good. Almost recovered by Riker. And they're going to call it Westlake's ball.
Also, obviously, every team was pointing their own way. It was kind of a 50-50 ball, but it goes to the Thunder, and now the Vikings are playing a little bit more aggressive on defense.
Simon Sua with it. Simon gives it to Jace Adams. Jace at the top of the key. Almost going to lose it due to Rasmussen's tough defense. And it's going to be timeout by Westlake.
First time out of the ball game, and we've got 3 minutes left in the third quarter. But that gives us another great chance to talk about what I've been thinking about all day, and that's Chubby's Neighborhood Cafe. Even after you eat it, you still can't stop thinking about it.
It is that good. Chubby's Cafe, #1 sponsor of Pleasant Grove Sports Network. Downtown on Main Street of Pleasant Grove. Across from the Zions Bank in the same parking lot as Ace Hardware and the Firebird Pizza. So, looking into how the third quarter should end, Alan, how should the third quarter end?
I think obviously, to state the obvious, both teams looking to kind of go on a run and put themselves in the lead and in a good spot to enter the fourth quarter. I think Pleasant Grove with, as they always do, a lot of shooters on the court. I think if they can start to get hot, this game could get out of hand quickly for Westlake. But if Westlake keeps doing offensively what they have been doing, this is a game that's going to be tough for Pleasant Grove.
Hadfield's quick layup is good, and it's going to take them to 51-46 here.
So no point guard that we've seen a ton of the season, which basically just means no Rasmussen or Palmer on the court right now.
Milo almost loses it, kicks it out. Hadley now in the paint, spin move, kicks it out to Mackay. Left, right dribble, back out to Milo. Milo now drives in, almost loses it, recovers it, gives it to Clay. He thought about a three, he's gonna drive in and put it up, he's gonna miss.
Wanted a foul call and didn't get it. Now Jace Adams. Whistle blown. I think there might be a double technical. There was one finger pointed at Clay Hansen and another pointed at Kyler Hadfield. It's just going to be Clay Hansen who gets called for the foul. Oh, they both get called.
They both get called for one as they just shove each other on the way back.
So that's Clay's fourth and Hadfield's third. So Clay's going to go take a seat.
Clay hasn't been able to shoot a three this game, and mostly because he hasn't been able to play because of foul trouble. Here's Hepworth.
That's a big loss for Pleasant Grove. Obviously, he's not out of the game, but with 4 fouls, that's a tough guy who's going to have to sit for 6 minutes or so before it's time to bring him back in.
Hepworth gives it to Malik. Now in the corner, Anderson. His three is no good.
Just catches the bottom of the net, and that gives the Vikings a chance, but they turn the ball over. Peterson just put a little too much heat on it, and Hadley couldn't grab it before it went out of bounds.
Calling it Westlake's ball here as Anderson's going to pass it in. Sua back to Anderson. Braden Anderson to Malik Sika, their best three-point shooter so far. Malik goes off of the screen. Now Simon Sua inside, kicks it out, back up to Malik, up top for three. Cannot hit, rare miss from Malik Sika. Here comes Ryan Hadley. Pass goes out, but it's tipped by Westlake. They're going to give it to Pleasant Grove.
1:42 remaining here in the third quarter. 51-46. Vikings down 5 after giving themselves an early hole. Still working on climbing out of it.
Clay Hansen returns to the bench for Pleasant Grove after visiting the locker room for a minute.
Jace Adams returns to the game for the Thunder as Sika goes and takes a seat, and we'll see Carson Rasmussen come in for the Vikings, and Ryan Hadley's going to go take a seat.
Player of the game against Lone Peak. Presented it to
he had
him at practice.
A monster game, too.
Absolute monster game.
It was not just points. I think he had 4 assists and no turnovers. The numbers all confirm that.
Makai Peterson. Left-right dribble, or right-left dribble, if you will. Gives it to Rasmussen. Thought about a three. He's going to be on the outside of the three-point line. Resets the play. Gives it to Hilliard. Quick three by Hilliard. Rattles it home.
Pleasant Grove kind of feels like all season they've had so many of those that bounce out. That's kind of the first one we've seen stay in, and that's a big one to cut it to a 1-possession game.
Jace Adams drives in, gives it down low, and that's be an and one for Featherstone as Riker tries to block him with too much momentum, and he flops right over Featherstone. And the scorekeeper here in Westlake Stadium might be the quickest scorekeeper I've ever seen. Every time we've hit a three or any shot in general, I look up at the scoreboard to check, and it's immediately been updated, and then I kind of wait for it to be updated, and it doesn't.
That shot is sunk by Beckham Featherstone.
Hilliard to Rasmussen.
Rasmussen gets fouled by
tied up
Epworth.
by Graydon Anderson.
Ty Palmer comes in for Milo Johansson. And that's going to send Rasmussen to the line.
Rasmussen's first is good.
So still looking to cut this to a 1-possession game. So he has to make this shot to do so. And he does it off the front of the rim, and a defensive rebound. It's a tough one by Adams, but he comes down with it.
Still 4-point game, and is tipped away by Rasmussen, and they're going to call it Pleasant Grove ball as Adams jumps for it, dives for it even, and just pushes it out of bounds.
So that's a big way to pick himself up. Rasmussen, you missed that free throw. Give your own team the ball right back on the defensive end.
Ty Palmer open in that corner. Just saying, watch for him. Although you do have Adams sitting there on the baseline block, so.
And Anderson and the Thunder want something. I think it was Jace Adams who's been in the game the majority of the time. Kind of put a little sweat on the court there, and they're going to wipe that up.
Yeah, cleaning up the court, making sure no one's slipping here.
Mickelson's going to inbound, and he finds his backcourt guy,
backcourt fella, if you will. Here is Ty Palmer on the outside, gives it to Rasmussen. Quick three by Riker, and it's good.
That cuts the deficit to 1.
What a shot by Riker.
We'll see if Pleasant Grove can kind of overcome that deficit that they've kind of been stuck at most of the game.
Graydon Anderson had picked up his dribble, causing Westlake's coach, Nate Carling, to call a timeout.
Yeah, and we talked about the player of the game for Lone Peak. Let's talk about the player of the game for American Fork. Riker Mickelson gets that honor, 13 points. We didn't get a ton of stats after that one, but we know he had 13 points and a great game, both offensively and defensively, as he has all season. That's his 3rd time taking it home, the absolutely just prestigious award of PGSN Player of the Game. He's kind of, I don't want to call it, but he's kind of put himself in a position to win his 4th tonight. He's had an amazing game.
Yeah.
But we'll decide after the game. Obviously, we still got a quarter plus change.
On 3 so far, because it seems like fairly normal distribution of threes this game so far.
So one thing I've noticed is after the game against Lehigh, Coach McAllister turned to, it was from my perspective, mainly Makai Peterson and Riker Mickelson, and basically just told them, we need you guys to shoot more threes. They're kind of the guys who have been driving in, but they've started to shoot more threes, and it started to benefit the Vikings. Mickelson specifically has just been almost lights out from beyond the arc. And then Peterson has been very efficient. He's still not taking a ton of shots, but when he does, he's been very efficient.
So Westlake did a stacking inbound there, which I did not think that they would do. Most of the time when you do that, it's a desperation move. Simon Sua kicks it out. Anderson, way deep three. Cannot repeat Riker's three, and that is going to be the end of the quarter.
It's waved off.
Good for Simon Sua as he shoots it a little bit after the buzzer goes off. I think he thought the buzzer went off before it actually did.
The buzzer went off for the shot clock, but it hadn't gone off for the play clock yet. And Sua just released it a little bit too late. So it stays a 1-point game heading into the fourth quarter. Neither team's really had an edge all game besides the first half of the first quarter for the Thunder and the second half of the first quarter for the Vikings. Since then, it's kind of been tit for tat, even and even. We've got 8 more minutes left to play. Is there really any place you'd rather be right now?
I don't have anywhere else I'd want to be. 1-point deficit, so nothing's really changed since halftime except for just more points being on the board. Pleasant Grove gotta clean up here in the fourth quarter, play their game, and sort of, well, in one way, if they get a lead, do something called parking the bus, which is where just you play what you got to do and just play hard defense. But parking the bus is a little bit harder in basketball because it's so fast-paced.
Yeah,
it still can happen.
54-53 your score. Pleasant Grove on the season averaging just a hair over 70 points per game. Westlake averaging 65.5, and then Pleasant Grove is allowing 66.7, and Westlake is allowing just a hair under 70. So seems like both teams are kind of on pace to be near their averages on both offensively and defensively. It's just left to be decided is kind of what team finishes with more points.
Rasmussen to Mackay, now in the corner. Riker gives it to Andrew. Andrew to Ty, open lane, drives in, layup, cannot connect. Ty Palmer, one of the best like driving in scoring guards on our team, as well as Riker and Mackay, also able to do that. But
yeah, Ty, if he gets one step on you, he's gonna be just an absolute blur to the basket. And usually he either gets fouled, where he's good from the line, as we just saw he hit his first, or he puts it in the bucket, or both.
And by good from the line, he is really good from the line. Second.
Look at us. Wow. I spoke too soon twice, but ultimately they even out, and Ty hits both. He's going to run out of time.
Did you say he thought he was going to miss? 5-second violation.
And there is nobody happier about that. Well, there are not 3 guys happier than that than Coach Scove, Coach Tuck, and Coach Groves.
Were you hoping I was going to be wrong about Ty Palmer hitting that second one?
I thought I jinxed it too.
Oh.
I thought we kind of like did it together. And then I said something right after it came out of his hands.
Ty gives it to Riker in the corner. Riker in the paint. Turnaround layup, and it's good as it bounces off the rim once, and it's going to fall inwards. Defense to Hatfield.
And now Adams taking it up. He's got 3 seconds to take it past, and he just barely. Guarded by Palmer. Palmer did a great job last time out against American Fort, guarding Weber State commit Tiger Cuff, and he's kind of been the same when he's been matched up against Jace Adams. He's really good defending these guards.
Jace Adams throws it up, cannot hit. Covered by Simon Sua, now out Graydon Anderson, and it's going to be...
I think it's an issue with the shot clock.
Yes, it probably is.
Adams did not hit rim with his shot, and the shot clock was reset. Or I didn't think he hit rim.
Might have just barely, but play is stopped by the referees. I thought they were going to call a kickball violation off of Graydon Anderson, but, you know, it just hit his foot. It wasn't really much, but then he recovered it, so it wasn't like it just bounced away.
It's just going to be Kyler Hadfield inbounding, keeping 32 seconds on the shot clock.
Couldn't get it in. Featherstone, and they're going to call a blocking foul.
That's going to go against Ty Palmer, and I think that's his 4th. So that puts...
No one's checking in.
Yeah, Clay Hansen has... Oh, it was Andrew Anderson who got the foul called on him, so Ty Palmer stays at 3. Anderson draws his first and the first of the quarter for Pleasant Grove. It's a young quarter, just 1 minute in. From the line, it's no good, the N1 opportunity.
So Pleasant Grove remains with the lead. It's the pass to Ty Palmer is tried to be wrestled away by Graydon Anderson, but it ultimately ends up being a foul.
I don't think it was an issue with where he had his hands. I think it was an issue with the way that his body kind of just flew into Ty's.
He was basically laying on top of him.
And that's just dangerous, both of them jumping. Even if you lose control of your body, if you're Graydon Anderson, that foul's still going to be called, and that's Anderson's fourth, and he doesn't want to come out. But he's going to have to as Malik Sika comes in. That's a rough fall for Ty Palmer.
Gets it into Carson. He's going to call out the play. Carson stops at the free throw line, but gives it to Riker, and it's just barely rims out.
That's just a shot that is just unlucky.
Simon Sua with the ball. Now he's going to reset the play, gets it down low to Featherstone, and it's almost wrestled away, but it's going to be a jump ball, Westlake.
It's going to stay Westlake basketball, but they have to sacrifice the possession arrow for it. That was just a great job by Mickelson. For the Thunder, that was Simon Sua. He loves to just pivot down low. Actually, it wasn't Sua, it was Featherstone, I believe. He loves to pivot down low and try to find himself a nice kind of post-up shot, and Mickelson did a good job of getting his hands in on a spin.
Give me a travel for Featherstone.
So kind of an unfortunate sequence of events for Featherstone. First, he almost gets it ripped away and a jump ball called, and then the turnover on the travel. Basketball is a short game. You just got to forget and get back. Anderson launches one, and
good. Andrew Anderson.
That's kind of the first show of emotion we've seen from Riker Mickelson, as he was yelling towards the Viking bench with a three in the air.
Didn't even see emotion from him for that buzzer beater earlier in the game.
Yeah, that's another thing I love about Mickelson. It wasn't even his shot. He's just getting amped up for his teammate.
Just excited, 5:55 to go here. Jace Adams. Here's Malik Sika. Hadfield.
15 on the shot clock and counting.
Jace Adams.
Gets to go right. That's where he wants to go.
It's 8 seconds. Inside on the mid-range area. Hits Simon Sua's feet. He's got 2 seconds. Launches from way far back of the rim. Ty Palmer ends up with it. So a few different shots from just crazy deep. And Andrew Anderson, 3 to answer. It goes in after it hits the shot clock, and they're calling it out of bounds.
That's technically the right call, but it can't be nice. Can't be fun to see that if you're Pleasant Grove. You want those points to count.
Should just kind of put more motivation in Andrew, though. Just like, hey, I can knock these down no matter where it bounces. It's going in. Maybe there's a magnet in the ball. Simon Sua gets it in at about the 4-second mark on their inbound. Graydon Anderson.
Back in even with 4 fouls.
Simon Sua has become their main dribbler this game, it feels like. Featherstone, now Anderson, and they're going to call
it's a foul on Peterson. It's an off-ball foul, or they called it from when he threw it. It's a little late to call it from when Featherstone was down low, so I think it was off-ball, but...
And...
So Milo Johansson checks in.
Inbound. Gets it in. Simon Sua kicks it out to Graydon Anderson for 3 off the back of the rim and no good. And they're going to call a foul.
I think it's going to go against the Thunder. Oh, no, it was on Mackay. Mackay Peterson gets tagged for another one, and the Westlake Thunder get another chance.
I couldn't see what happened. It just looked like Featherstone just got pushed or pushed someone, because just somewhere there was contact.
But now Anderson and the Thunder back on offense. Corner 3, Sua
cannot hit. Featherstone in. Layup is missed. Inside the paint.
And another foul gets called on Pleasant Grove. Bucket won't count. But just frustration from the Viking side as Rasmussen gets whistled. Rasmussen's not on the court. It was Palmer who got whistled for it. I just saw the 2. But now Rasmussen's going to check in for Palmer as he's picked up his 4th. And that's the Pleasant Grove's 5th of the quarter, so that's going to send the Thunder, specifically Featherstone in this instance, to the line.
Yeah.
.446 remaining in this one. Featherstone shooting 2. His first. No good off the back of the rim. And now Palmer checks out. So Palmer has 4. Hansen has 4. Anderson has 4.
At some
I think
point,
it's safe to say we'll see someone foul out.
At some point, they got to just keep playing their guys, even with them in foul trouble. Because it's 4th quarter. At some point, it's like there's nothing to lose, but there still is something to lose as a timeout's called by Pleasant Grove.
So I think if you're Pleasant Grove, you don't have to play the guys who have 4 fouls. Obviously, Ty Palmer and Clay Hansen are both amazing players, but you've got 10 guys on that bench that you feel could hit a 3 and play tenacious defense. But if you're Westlake, and that's kind of what we've seen from them after Anderson picked up his 4th, he's, your second best scorer. You got to have him in. And that's kind of where they've turned, and he's done a good job so far since he picked up his 4th to not get in a situation to pick up a 5th, but you got to wonder if there's a point where Pleasant Grove starts to hunt him.
Yeah. So 4:43 to go here. Just looking at it here, 3-point lead. This is a must-win for the Vikings. Because so they got to, at some point, even with their 4 foul players, they just have to play them. Like, those are their best guys. And Clay Hansen, one of their best 3-point shooter is Clay Hansen, other than Andrew, who also has 4 fouls.
Andrew's on the court for Pleasant Grove, but he's paired with Hilliard, Rasmussen, Mickelson, who has the ball right now, and Johansson.
As Rasmussen gives it inside. Now here's Andrew. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Milo inside. Pass is intercepted by Jace Adams. Going down the court. So 1-on-1. He loses the ball. Gets it out. Stolen by Riker. Now it's a 1-on-1. And they're going to call a...
I don't know why there was a whistle.
So
They pointed to Westlake's bench. He can't call a timeout there. Mickelson had the ball.
So that, I would call a technical foul for that.
And that's what they do.
It is.
So that's going to send any Viking they want to the line for 2 free throws.
It's usually Ty Palmer, but they're just going to send Riker, who...
Ty's not on the court, so they can't send him, I guess. It's not any Viking, but almost any Viking.
Either him or Anderson would be the ones to pick. So first one is missed. Pleasant Grove has been struggling from technical free throws all season.
Mickelson shooting his 2nd of 2. It's good.
Hits it.
And now Pleasant Grove's going to get the ball back.
So it's kind of the same idea as a clear path foul, which it kind of was in a way.
Yeah.
Because they just yelled timeout and the ref just blows the whistle because it seemed like it could have been, but...
Yeah, all you want there is the play to stop because Mickelson's got a wide open path to the rim. And instead you give him wide open shots from the charity stripe. And luckily for the Thunder this time, he only goes 1 for 2.
Andrew Anderson gets it back to Rasmussen. I almost called him Riker. Andrew to Carson. Fakes a 3. 13 seconds on the shot clock inside the paint. Hadley
10 on the shot clock.
Andrew loses the ball. Simon Sua has it. Jace Adams down the court.
Hadley gets whistled for a foul. He had a moment against Skyridge earlier this year where he just rejected Mosteller down low. He's been so good. He's kind of been one of the more confident Vikings willing to jump with other players and try and get his hand on one. That time he does, but he gets whistled for his third foul.
Well, it's more than just that Mo Stellar block against Lone Peak the first time at home. He blocked Kramer and Ike Staley in the same game, just like that. And
Adams misses his first.
Is missed. Adams. It's a huge free throw for them to cut it to a one-possession game here now.
We've seen a lot of free throws attempted from both sides, and we've seen a lot of free throws missed from both sides. Both teams struggling from the charity stripe. Adams hits his second. I think you talked about it earlier. There's kind of a pattern with Westlake. Miss your first, make your second.
Yeah, and I've seen that especially just with Kyler Hadfield. Like, he went to the line many times in the first half and just missed the first, hit the second.
Palmer's back on the court with 4 fouls and another turnover.
So Makai Peterson was looking for the pass, and Hadfield puts it up after it was blocked for Anderson.
1 point game here. And now McAllister wants a timeout.
So the reason that last play happened like that, that steal from Westlake, was Makai Peterson saw Carson on the right side wing. Looks to give him the pass. Carson isn't looking his way at all. He's trying to get open because he's being blocked. He's being guarded like crazy. Then Carson turns. Makai sees him after double taking and tries to throw it to him. And ultimately it's stolen by a Westlake player as he tried to pass it through about 3 different guys.
So, Jack, we've seen Pleasant Grove in so many of these close games throughout the season. And the first time through region play, they'd get to these points, and then they'd start to do what we've seen a little bit the last couple possessions, and that's turn the ball over, try and play a little too fast, and that's kind of been what's allowed the other teams to pull away. It's kind of what happened against Skyridge when Skyridge came back. So it's not just allowing the other team to pull away, it's allowing them to come back. And then going back through region again against Lone Peak, against American Fork, we didn't see them really make those mistakes. We saw them make smart passes, and that's what allowed them to come back and put themselves into games up until Lone Peak, literally the last shot, and until American Fork about 9 seconds left. And now they're kind of back. We've seen them commit some costly turnovers, and I think that's what prompted the timeout from Coach McAllister, was telling his team to slow down.
The first time we saw Pleasant Grove make risky passes was against Bingham, and that ended up in a 21-point loss.
There's another one. Sua
goes down, can put them with the lead, and he does. Cheerleaders pom-pom goes onto the court.
Rasmussen just stared down Anderson.
Carson inside to Makai. In the paint, back out to Carson. Drives in. Right-hand layup, good. Oh, my goodness, what a tough layup by
Carson Rasmussen. Just a little bit of jelly on his toast. And now and out of bounds. Forced by Rasmussen defensively. Westlake fans want a foul called on him because Anderson fell to the ground, but that was just Anderson not wanting to have the ball go out of bounds.
Yeah, he was trying to dive for it. Similar thing happened with Jace Adams, and when he dived for it, they had to clean his sweat up off the ground. So
nobody's over in that corner right now, so we don't know if they need to do the same for Anderson. He's been playing a lot today, too.
Gets it in, Makai. Alley-oop pass, can't hit. Anderson can't get it either, and it ends up in Featherstone's hand.
So Westlake with a chance to take the lead on this possession.
Graydon Anderson with Westlake. Gives it to Simon Sua. Hadfield to Simon. Simon fakes a 3, kicks it out in the corner. This is Jace Adams, 14 seconds on the shot clock.
I don't know, did they just call a foul on Mickelson? They call it on Rasmussen. I was going to say Mickelson wasn't even close.
Off-ball foul on Rasmussen.
And that's his first, Pleasant Grove's 6th, technically, of the quarter, but regardless, it's going to send Featherstone to the line. With 2:04 remaining in this one. Featherstone looking to tie it up with this one, and he doesn't, off the front of the rim.
And
both of these teams just look so fatigued. Even though there have been a lot of fouls called on both sides, giving both teams a chance to take a breather. Westlake's really just ran a 6-man rotation, and he misses both.
Both are missed by Featherstone, and here's Makai Peterson. Rasmussen. Carson calls out the play. Ty Palmer gives it back to Rasmussen. Carson gives it to Andrew.
1:45 now, 15 on the shot clock.
Carson here to Riker. Riker picks up his dribble, gives it to Andrew. Inside Ty, quick mid-range jumper, and he's gonna knock it down.
Pleasant Grove doesn't like taking those, but when there's 4 seconds on the shot clock, you kind of have to. You're not gonna find a more open shot on that possession.
Yeah, they were guarding the perimeter like crazy on that play as 4 guys were hanging around it. Simon Sua off the double team, kicks it out. No behind the back foul for Featherstone.
But a bucket.
1 minute to go. 1 point lead. Ty Palmer, 3, cannot hit. Riker ends up with it. Riker down low, layup is good. Gives him a 3-point lead. And a
Riker
timeout.
Mickelson, holy cow, what a talent he is on the floor. Getting the offensive rebound over 2 Thunders and then laying it up in. And I know we had the whole debate last time about what a single Thunder is. But
we'll just say the Thunderman, the Thund, if
the
you will.
Thund.
Is it a single Thund?
A thump. I don't know.
There's not an M in there. Never mind.
Well, okay.
What? Okay. All right.
Nevertheless, the bucket went in for Mickelson and the Vikings, and it gives them a 3-point lead with just under 60 seconds to play in this one.
57.2.
Do you think Pleasant Grove can do us a favor on Tuesday and blow a team out so my heart will stop racing every Tuesday and Friday? No?
No. Every game's going to be exciting here at the end, and that's just because a lot of these teams are fairly evenly matched.
Well, every team is one of the best that they'll see. I mean, they see each other twice a year, but those are, you know, the 10 best games you'll play are the 2 games against every region opponent.
Yeah, and it's just, they all have ended up, and some have gotten the short end of the stick, like Westlake.
And Pleasant Grove, really.
And Pleasant Grove. Here's Simon Sua. Has to go the full 100 feet of the court.
Now it's kind of just up to decide who gets the shortest end of the stick on the season, and that's really just whoever can't pull out this one.
Graydon Anderson to Hadfield. Hadfield to Graydon. Graydon on the inside, puts it up, layup is good.
And now a timeout by the Thunder. That's a tough bucket over Riker Mickelson. You know, we talk about Pleasant Grove mostly being a body of guards. Riker Mickelson is not really, he's kind of the least like a guard out of any Viking. He's a big dude, and Anderson gets one to go. The 6'1" sophomore shows a lot of skill putting that one up and in.
Trying to play the cleanest defense they can.
Westlake,
1 more second than a single shot clock on the clock.
Westlake does have 1 foul to give.
Yeah,
so
but
foul.
PG doesn't. If they foul, they're going to the line for 2. And even though they haven't had great luck, that's not something that you want to do. You cannot rely on the other.
Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, Lone Peak faced them at Lone Peak. That's kind of really the only reason Lone Peak won. Pleasant Grove just kept making mistakes. And obviously, nobody plays a perfect game of basketball. You can't expect the other team. You got a game plan for perfect. Both teams have done. Westlake really was perfect in the first 3 to 4 minutes, really. Pleasant Grove was far from it, and now it's very, very even, as you can tell by the 1-point difference throughout the rest of this one. Riker Mickelson, Ty Palmer, Carson Rasmussen, and Andrew Anderson on the court for the Vikings. On offense, Sua, Anderson, Featherstone, Hadfield, and Adams.
Ty Palmer, second violation.
And that's just a mistake. Like the simplest way to put it, that's just a mistake. Pleasant Grove turns the ball over, and now with no shot clock, Westlake has a chance to take the lead. Now the Thunder student section is way into this one. No shot clock, 20 seconds to go.
Graydon Anderson Charge is called. They put in the layup. 8 seconds to go. Ty Palmer.
No timeout.
Ty Palmer gets it in. Makai Peterson down low, puts it up. He's fouled.
1.9 remaining. Got it. Makai's going to get 2. He's got to at least make 1.
Makai Peterson, who's done this so many times.
The senior guard, and this is the loudest we've heard in arena all season.
Absolutely.
And now Carling and the Thunder.
As they try to ice the shooter.
Can you overstate how big these free throws are?
Cannot. And this is the second time in 3 games Makai Peterson's been put on a pedestal to win a game. And looking here,
the first one, he had a much tougher shot than he did.
This is a much easier way to win a game than with a 3 seconds to go to hit only a 3 to win. This is 1 point to tie, 2 points to win, and then you just got to lock him up for 2 seconds, 1.9 to be specific. It says 1 second, it's basically 2, yeah. 1.9. So the shortest buzzer beater in basketball history is 0.4, and that was Derek Fisher in 2007.
Yeah, that's really Pleasant Grove's only hope is if Makai misses the second one, obviously you just have to get the offensive rebound, tip it in, and that will end it. Once the ball is touched, you really only have, you have time to maybe take 2 dribbles and then put it up. And Makai Peterson, the senior guard, 1 of 3, wearing number 3, is going to take 2 shots from the line, as that's about all that could change the fate of this game.
Makai Peterson, the man, the myth.
Can he put himself into legend? His first shot is no good.
Shot.
So now Pleasant Grove's going to put guys on the post.
Second shot. Riker Mickelson goes to lineup.
Westlake just has to box out. Their crowd is doing their job.
Makai, second free throw is no good off the front of the rim. Oh my goodness!
They wave it off.
Anderson shoots it after a timeout.
There was no timeout. I think there was a foul.
They call a foul.
I'm not sure either team had possession. The refs have one of the toughest decisions you'll ever see. It was off his fingertips in time.
Completely.
Westlake's going to shoot free throws.
There's no doubt. Westlake's going to the line, though.
Makai Peterson got whistled for the foul. I just blatantly think that's wrong. I think it was both players were tied up. It got into the hands of Anderson. He threw it up. He made it. Now with 1.4 remaining, it's now up to Simon Sua. And, 1.4 seconds for Pleasant Grove. Just mayhem.
Absolute mayhem. As Simon Sua, if he hits both, it would have to be a 3 by the Vikings.
Here's Sua.
Sua's first is good.
McAllister listed this as a trap game. And that's what it's looking like so far. After going down 14-0, Pleasant Grove has effectively been winning the game by 12 since then. But if you dig your... And they haven't been able to do that so far. And very, very low on time to do it now.
Just tough. Andrew Anderson's shot on the inside of the paint was just so pretty. Landed in so perfectly as well. Call the shot off. They give Westlake free throws. There's one. So overall, 0.5, half a second was wasted. As the refs are just still talking about it. They can't take it back now. Couldn't take it back now in any way.
So now Sua at the line for the out of the game behind Mickelson's 2 free throws. And Pleasant Grove's coaching staff still, and I believe rightfully so, disagreeing on that call. But now if Pleasant Grove gets a rebound, grab the rebound, call a timeout, and then go from there. Probably all you can care about with 1.4 seconds left. Here's Sua's second free throw.
Simon Sua's second. It's going to hit it.
Now
timeout, Pleasant Grove. 1.4. It wasn't inbounded in
Doesn't
play.
look like they will. You just have to draw up your best play, and that play has to unfold in 1.4 seconds. Just a absolutely crazy game time so far, but
your scoreboard says 69 to 67.
It is 70-67. But we've rehashed it so many times. Go down 14 early in the first quarter, fight back, and once they basically tied it, once Pleasant Grove basically tied it, it's just been back and forth, and looks like Westlake might be fourth with 1.4 seconds remaining. 4 Thunder players on the far side of the court, and 1 man, Beckham Featherstone, guarding the baseline and the inbound. As Rasmussen wants to get the cheerleaders completely out of the way. No Viking is on that side of the court either.
Rasmussen might want a little bit of step-up space to just launch it as far as he can.
And he does.
Just slaps it back out, although it doesn't take any time off.
I think they might be talking about that right now.
Featherstone might be forced to back up.
That might be a technical. Pleasant Grove got called for one earlier. Flat, I think.
I don't think so. Or
That
they
is.
do. They give him 1 second. Caught by Mackay. And he has to throw it to Ty, who throws up a prayer.
Of course he has to make it, but that is the game. Pleasant Grove falls 70-67 here at Westlake. Nobody can see you, but your emotion says it all. Just pure frustration from Pleasant Grove. Westlake, as we talked about, is a very, very talented team. But this is a game that you need to come in and win. Now 1-7 on the year in region play, and it does not get any easier for the rest of the season. Skyridge on Tuesday, Lehigh on Friday. Pleasant Grove is kind of putting themselves in a play-in spot. They were the 13th seed in RPI coming into this one. They themselves out of having to play on any time before Friday the 23rd. Jack, what happened?
What happened was a call that that I wasn't on the floor to see. I wasn't there. I wasn't as close to the players. They call it off. They go down. They give them free throws. They hit them both. Rasmussen's first attempted pass is slapped out. Second one goes to Mackay, who gives it to Ty. After the buzzer goes off, he hits it, reminiscent of Michael Mitten last year in the playoffs, who hit a shot after the buzzer went off to lose to Lone Peak. And it's a tough loss, and Pleasant Grove gets the short end. Still have not crossed their 11-win mark from last year. And Pleasant Grove will go in and play good. Cannot argue anything except for them being good. And then they play Lehigh with Cooper Lewis, who is an absolute demon on the court. And then it's playoff time, and whether they're in a play-in game or not is dependent on these next 2 games. But it was a must-win for Westlake, and they ultimately win here in the Thunder Stadium.
I think for Pleasant Grove, I've kind of been Mr. Optimistic all season. It's a little hard to be optimistic right now, but still trying to be that. They were the better team for 3.5 quarters. But fortunately for the Thunder, they were so much better in half a quarter that Pleasant Grove didn't have a chance to come back and get punched in the mouth. You have to get back up quickly, and they did. Enough. That's all from Westlake and Saratoga Springs. Join us again on at 7:30 p.m. as I call my final home PGSN game, but more importantly, the Vikings play the Falcons at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday night. We will see you then.
This is Jack Barnard and Alan Judson signing off.